Ashura, did you get the new cereal that I asked for?
Sorry, they appeared to be out. Apparently, that's a rather popular brand.
I can't remember what they were called. Was it Frosted Gnomes?
Honestly, I'm not sure at this point. I forgot to write it down.
The forgetfulness in this realm has been ever increasing.
Speaking of forgetful, did the people come to build that new door I discussed? Because I don't recall that one.
You don't recall this door? The one over here?
Yeah, that I asked them to make a new door for the entrance, not just put a random door inside the cave.
Hmm.
Insert knocking sound.
Oh.
Hello. Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hi. This is a bit confusing. I was meant to show up,
Somewhere else?
yeah, I was supposed to be within like 500 feet of where I last was. Like I was just trying to do a jump.
Ah,
I've never had this happen before. Where am I?
Well, at least you knocked. You are in the realm of forgotten memories. Do you know where you're supposed to end up?
Trying to get from one side of the ship to the other. It's a training exercise.
oh,
We have seen many ships, but I don't think this is the side that you are looking for.
Yeah, I was going more for moving from the aft castle to the forecastle. I think I overshot by a plane or two.
yeah, that sounds about right. But if you care to tell us where you're from and a little bit about yourself, then I'm sure we could try to help you get to whatever castle on a ship you want to go to.
Yeah, I mean that would definitely work. I'm Peter Seastrider, and you two wonderful dragons are.
I'm Ephraim.
I'm Ashura. We are the Delegation of Dreamers.
Well, it's nice to meet you both.
Yeah, likewise.
You said it's a delegation of dreamers, so does this happen frequently?
Sadly, more often than I would prefer. I honestly don't know how people keep hopping into this realm. It's very confusing.
I totally believe that.
But would you like to have a seat? If you tell us a bit about yourself, we can probably hone in on your realm a little bit faster.
Okay. Right, well, I'm from Fenton's. I was on the Shadow of the Seas. I was just practicing some of my magical abilities, and then I wound up here.
Is that the name of the ship?
Yep, the Shadow of the Sea.
I haven't heard that name before. Ephraim, have you?
Uh, no, I didn't know the sea cast a shadow.
Is it bad that I knew you were going to go there?
To be honest, you were baiting for it.
I mean, technically, the ship was named for our captain. Her name is Vala. She's a Shatterkai and a Shadow Sorceress. So she has, a lot to do with shadows. Our former captain actually gave it the name, the Shadow of the Sea.
Vala, would that be as in Valanix?
Yes, Valinix. Yep,
Yeah,
that would be her.
we met her before.
Oh, you have?
Yeah,
It's been a moment, but I do recall that one.
that's a weird coincidence.
Yes, it is. I'm surprised that she never mentioned you all, because some forewarning about this would have been nice.
Well, they might not have remembered, considering this is the realm of forgotten memories.
Fair enough, fair enough.
But yeah, how did you and Vala meet?
Well, I actually wound up following a talking bird to find Vala. My friend Tara, she had a saying that she was a follower of Roclair, and she always said, follow the raven. The raven was one of Roclair's symbols. So whenever she said follow the raven, well, I'm not a particularly religious person, so I kind of took it literally. And when the talking bird said I should follow it and gave me an amulet, I followed the raven. And that took me right to a gladiatorial arena where they were about to get their asses kicked. And I decided to step in and help out.
The the Ravens were getting their asses kicked.
No, Vala and our crew at the time,
Oh,
it was the captain Quill, a drow, and Claire, Azamar monk. They were about to face off against a orc captain and his crew with a fairy and a minotaur. And it's been a while. I can't remember what the other one was, but they were outnumbered. So I felt the urge to hop into the ring and go help out.
I'm assuming you won, considering you're still alive.
Yes. Well, the gladiatorial arena is one of those that's enchanted to not let people die. So technically, we could have lost. I got, you know, knocked down a couple of times. Didn't feel real good because it felt really real. But yeah, we did win. Made it through in one piece.
I think that's one of those public safety gone mad situations. Like back in my day, gladiatorial arenas were all about when you died, you died. These days, they make gladiators so soft.
I should be offended by that or not? Because I'm a gladiator myself. Well, before I wound up with a crew, I did it for at least 10 years.
Ah, okay.
And the whole enchantment not to kill people has been pretty much par for the course.
Well, if that's what floats your boat, then your boat is seaworthy.
Oh my god. Terrible.
That was bad.
What?
I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. That was terrible. It wasn't technically wrong.
I am sure that's a saying. I am as sure as butchers. I don't know. I'm not going anywhere with this.
Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm not. After you guys fought in the arena, why did you end up joining Vala, Quill, and Claire?
The amulet that I said when I put it on, I didn't realize this when I put it on, but apparently it was cursed. And the amulet was kind of collecting me for the ship, the Shadow of the Sea. It's a sentient ship. It has a mind of its own, mind and will of its own. It's kind of like a god, I guess. I don't know if it's really a god or an eldritch entity or it's something along those lines. It's more than just a ship.
It's a home.
I mean, yes, it certainly is my home.
He's trying, I swear. It just seems off.
Fair enough.
So what was it if not ship?
I mean, we still don't know a lot about it. We're learning about it as we go, but it's a ship, but it's alive. It has a mind of its own, and it tells us what to do. Sort of. The amulets are linked to the ship, and whenever it's got something it wants us to do, they will light up and point the way that we're supposed to go to figure out what's going on. It kind of uses us to help clear up other cursed objects. Like this one situation, it actually led us to an island of shifters, and we wound up going in and interrupting a summoning ritual for the were god Fenrir, and that wasn't fun. We wound up fighting a bunch of werewolves, and I don't know if you've ever run into werewolves, but not a great time.
So they were religious werewolves, fanatics?
They were, yes. I mean, they were summoning a god, so zealots is probably the best way to explain them.
Or you could call them holy shifters.
All right, I'll give you that one.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Did they manage to summon their god?
No, we did get there in time to break the summoning before the god entered into the world. Otherwise, I really do doubt I would be here. Of course, if I was still here after that happened, I would probably have fur instead of scales.
I was curious about the ship. How did you realize that it was alive?
For me specifically, that was something that was kind of pointed out to me after getting the whole amulet and winding up with the ship with the crew. That was kind of one of the first things we talked about.
And when was the first time that you interacted with the ship, or at least the living part of it?
I've never really had much direct interaction with it. The closest I can come to saying that I have directly interacted with it is when we were destroying the phylactery for this lich. His name was Thomas, and we had to go through a dungeon to find his phylactery, and the ship is what destroyed the phylactery so that we could finally kill him completely. because the ship eats evil, cursed objects. So the phylactery was apparently very tasty. Took a lot of power, though. We had to use, it was like 12 full diamonds to be able to destroy the phylactery.
Good lord. Did you have to give the diamonds to the ship, or what do you do with the diamonds?
We did have to give the diamonds to the ship. The ship kind of runs on diamond power. I don't know if that's a thing other than with this ship, but yeah, apparently it's fueled by diamonds. It's an expensive fuel source, especially with the trade war going on right now. Can't get gold and you can't get diamonds, and fucking humans. That's all I have to say about it. Just fucking humans and their selfishness. They've screwed everything up, including the treaty with the dragons on Torgallen. It's such a pain in the ass.
I sorta smell dragon on you. Have you recently been interacting with a dragon, or?
That's kind of an interesting story. You see, I'm honestly surprised you guys didn't pick up on it quicker, because most of the dragons I've met have noticed it immediately around me. But I am actually a half dragon myself.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't notice. So, your parents were a dragon and a bard, I assume.
I honestly don't know if my mother was a bard or not, but she wound up. I don't know if the word lucky or unlucky is the best terminology for it, but she wound up being the lover of a black dragon. I know the family name. It's NL and Ossistraz, but I don't know which one is specifically my father. Like, I know of the family, and I think it's a guy named Call, but I don't know for sure. Like, I don't have enough information to go on. This is really just a gut feeling.
So, your whole life you haven't known your father.
I mean, for most of my life, I was raised in a monastery anyway, so the person I thought was my father, Aglin Kelpweed, he wound up giving me up to the monastery, and I was raised there with my friend Tara and learning how to be a blade singer.
Is that someone who sings to their blades or sings with blades?
In a way, I think it's someone that sings with their blades.
Yeah, I would kind of say that as well. Honestly, I would be tempted to say Blade Dancer would be a better way to describe what I do, because it's really a combat focused thing. It's focused on fighting with the swords. It's not necessarily just there's not really any singing involved. One of my most basic abilities is called Blade Song. But when it refers to blade song, I do believe it means the sound swords make when they're being used in battle.
Okay. I myself am a scissor runner. I run with scissors.
And I have the scars to prove it.
I believe it. I certainly believe it.
Anyway, so you defeated Tom, destroyed his phylactery. What happened afterwards?
Well, after that, we went back to the Olibrian Enclave to celebrate our defeat of this asshole. And when we got there, we wound up running into another guy named Tom, who actually turned out not to be named Tom. He was actually this guy named Osmarco, and he was shapeshifted into a
Tom.
Tom. Yeah, he was shapeshifted into a guy named Tom to hide in the background
Sneaky.
and just kind of taunt us and whatnot. And he revealed himself, and he's one of the forces behind Tom, I guess. Him and this Valcherez drow woman.
Valcherez.
Yeah, she's a priestess that Quill has a lot of problems with. Poor Quill. He didn't expect that Kraken. That was just a bad situation right there.
What happened to him?
Quill got eaten.
Got eaten.
Yeah, a Kraken attacked the ship and it ate him.
What happened to the Kraken?
We killed it.
All right, then 1-for-1.
Yep. Yeah, unfortunately we weren't able to cut into it in time to save Quill. He had already been partially digested.
Ah.
It wasn't a pretty sight.
How much do you know about this Balsharaz?
Other than she's like a necromancer and a priestess of Lolth, not much. We've never interacted with her directly, at least since I've been involved with the crew. We've never had any direct interaction with her. But she has been a problem in Quill's life for, a long time. Apparently, at some point, he was one of her slaves, and he managed to escape her and help found the crew.
So this is sort of a revenge quest for him.
It was before he was eaten, yes.
And you guys couldn't get the body or anything to resurrect him?
No, and unfortunately, there wasn't enough left, and there are no diamonds.
Ah.
So,
Yeah. Sadly, diamonds aren't forever.
exactly, especially with our ship around. Diamonds are tasty.
They have a good crunch.
I've never tried. I will in the future. Next time I get a diamond, I'll try it out.
What have Valsharej done to you guys then? If it's not Quill's revenge, then why are you guys out to get her?
Well, Valsharez, it was an issue with revenge for Quill. Not so much for the rest of us because we didn't have that kind of interaction with Valsharez. That doesn't mean that the bitch didn't, get herself involved with the crew. Basically, what we've had going down with her is she's managed to place a curse on our loved ones. Like for me, it was Tara, the friend I was talking about when I was talking about the Ravens. And for Callan, it was his mother. And one of Quill's former lovers was also under the effects of the curse.
And what did the curse do to them?
The curse is like a necromantic thing. It resurrected them and is like bound their soul to Valsharez. She was using them in conjunction with Tom, not the fake Tom that turned into Osmarco, the Lich Tom.
Ah.
And I remember I had to actually, when we were going to get his phylactery, I had to go and fight and kill her.
Your girlfriend?
Yes, I had to kill Tara. I thought that would be the way to lay her to rest, and I took the time to burn the body afterwards because I thought that would prevent her from being resurrected again. And that's the way blade singers are laid to rest anyway, is through cremation. But she was resurrected anyway.
Like how? Was she only like half baked? Or
I don't know how she was initially. I don't know that she was ever fully cremated before that, honestly. Plus, Valsharez is a very, very powerful priestess, so she might not have even had to have a part of Terra to resurrect her in the first place. I don't know.
oh, okay, that's
Divine magic isn't something I'm very good at. That's kind of Callan's field. He's the paladin that hangs around with us.
And out of curiosity, since you have essence of dragon, and do you have another form?
And I only recently learned about it, like in the last couple of days, honestly. I was training to, just improve myself, and I met with number one from the library on Bear's Head Chain that we go to, and he was also a half dragon. He was teaching me about, having two minds and two bodies. I can shift back and forth between the form you see now, the aquatic elf form, and a dragonborn form. I've also been able to shift to a actual dragon form in the past, and that's kind of what started this whole half dragon thing. I learned how to transform into a dragon with magic because magic is just fucking awesome that way. And I guess it just kind of unlocked the whole half dragon thing inside of me, and that's what started us rolling down this hill. Now I've learned how to control that transformation. It was just kind of random up until now.
Was anyone hurt when you were rolling down the hill?
I question that points if you're trying or not.
That a serious question, or because that's not a Literal hill.
Well, excuse me for trying to be sympathetic. I mean, I know how frail you guys are when, like, rolling down a hill should probably cause a lot of damage.
It's not a literal hill though. It's a metaphorical hill. Like I wasn't actually rolling down a hill.
All right. Have you been rolling down anything else?
That's an interesting question because it's got me completely stumped. Rolling down anything else? Not recently, no.
What is your favorite thing to roll down?
I mean, I like sailing. I like fighting. I like magic. I don't particularly care for rolling down hills. That is uncomfortable. I have done it before. It's not fun.
Any indoor activities, like reading books or something?
I do like reading. I have done a lot of reading and research on dragons in general. I've learned how to speak Draconic over the last year or so, and I have done a lot of research not only on dragons but on half dragons as well. There's not a lot of information on half dragons because we're kind of forbidden in this world. Like the Treaty of Torgallen with the dragons actually has sworn many of the people who used to uphold that treaty to kill dragons or half dragons, not dragons. But I mean, yes, dragons too when they leave Torgallen. But the treaty used to be what kept them on Torgallen until Tom and his, humanness screwed up the trade.
Hmm.
Once he screwed up the trade routes and the control over the diamonds and gold in the world, it screwed up the tribute that was going to Torgallen that was keeping the dragons on Torgallen from going off and creating layers in other places to build their own hordes and whatnot. So when Tom screwed that up, the dragons left Torgallen.
Okay. Well, people weren't giving them tribute anymore, so they had no reason to stay.
Exactly. And one interesting thing that I did when trying to help with getting to taking care of the situation on Torgallen and taking care of the situation with Tom was we traveled to Torgallen, and this was before I started meddling with the magic that could transform me and whatnot, so it hadn't really triggered all of the half-dragon stuff, so that hadn't become an issue yet. And while we were on Torgallen, we talked with the mayor of the main city there, and that mayor was an ancient gold dragon. I can't remember his name right now, which is probably a bad thing, and I'm not going to say it too loudly because I don't want to be eaten.
Fair.
So, yeah, if we could just leave that on the down low that I forgot a dragon's name, we'll just push it under the rug. While we were talking to him, I tried to convince him to help us go and attack Tom and his people on Bear's Head Chain. Or not Bear's Head Chain. Fuck, that's the wrong island. Horn King Isle is where the humans are from.
Horny King Isle. Makes sense. They do make a lot of bards.
I mean, they are humans, so they kind of multiply like rabbits. So I guess they are horny.
Where do you go to research dragons?
Now, we go to the library on Bear's Head Chain.
Ah, okay.
That's probably why I was, thinking of it. That's just where we were a little while ago while we were training to, increase our knowledge. And I was talking with number one. Number one is the owner of the library. The library there is kind of like our ship. It's alive and sentient in its own way. And number one, as far as I understand it, is the manifestation of the library and its knowledge. Now that I think about it, though, how he's actually a half dragon on top of that is kind of mind boggling. But it is what it is.
So he's a dragon that runs a library.
Yes, he's a half dragon that runs a library that happens to be extremely magical.
What makes the library magical, or why does it have to be alive?
What kind of magics have you faced in the library?
The big thing that I've faced directly is, well, the library has a way of knowing everything, essentially. So one of the things that it tasks you with when you enter into the library is it kind of asks you if you're willing to steal knowledge like I said, I was raised in a monastery and stealing was frowned upon, so I learned to not steal. So whenever I've entered into the library and faced that particular question, I've always exited into the part of the library that it's not forbidden, it's restricted from people who are willing to steal knowledge. And this is the side of the library that has much more information about everything.
What information have you obtained in there?
That was actually the first place I started learning about half dragons.
Hmm.
They have the literal only book on half dragons ever written and preserved. The dragons very much want access to that because they want to destroy all record of half dragons existing, period.
Yeah, it kind of incentivizes bards trying to charm dragons when you know it's possible.
Callan is our resident bard. I've never seen him try to seduce a dragon before. I mean, that doesn't mean that it won't happen, but I don't think it will. Callan's not that kind of guy.
So a library that knows everything, does that mean that they know when the book that you've been borrowing is overdue?
All right, cut out that joke.
Not funny?
No, today just seems like you tried to inject a lot of jokes.
Okay.
So you've been to this library multiple times?
Yeah, we have.
What was the most recent reason you've gone?
Aside from the training, that was kind of a bonus to what we were doing. We wound up visiting the library at the same time that Princess, that we helped save from Tom, was visiting as well. She was there with a couple of gnomes. One of them's name was Wicket. He was a wizard, and he was with another princess, a gnomish princess, and this gnome was so weird. He ignored my existence. Like, that's the only way I can put it. He did everything possible to just ignore the fact that I existed.
Hmm.
Like, he would literally, when he was looking around the room, he would literally look up and over me just to avoid looking at me.
Like you had something disgusting on your forehead.
I guess. I mean, he did kind of explain it in a roundabout way. It brings us back to the Treaty of Torgallen again, where the half dragons are banned. The guy was aware that I was a half dragon, and he had taken an oath to uphold the treaty, and that oath included killing half dragons. But since I was a friend of the princess that he was visiting with, then he didn't want to upset the princess, so he kept from looking at me and acknowledging my existence, and we wound up talking in circles. He would find ways to answer my questions without directly addressing me. Like, he would go, hypothetically, if someone were to ask blah, 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 then he would answer that question that I had literally just asked without directly referencing me.
That just sounds like he was trying to be annoying.
Oh, he succeeded at that. He succeeded at that so hard.
And why was the treaty so against half dragons?
Half dragons, from what I've learned, are extremely dangerous. Half dragons tend to take everything to the next level. Like, put everything to the max setting, and half dragons will take it a step further. They can be extremely evil and slaughter millions. They can be extremely good and let that goodness get in the way of common sense and make it dangerous in a way, I guess. That's one way to put it.
So they have the ability to limit break. They go to the max level and then some.
That's one way to put it, I guess. I'd never thought of it that way.
That's interesting that they can go past a full-blooded dragon.
Well, it's not necessarily that we could go past full-blooded dragons. It's just that we pushed it too far. As like a race, from what I understood, we pushed it too far. We would endanger people and the world around us. That's basically been the way it's explained to me. Like, something about the way that we have two forms kind of breaks us. Like, there's the dragon half of us, and then there's the normal half of us. And when those two are interacting, it's like two separate personalities existing inside the same body. Not everybody can handle how that works, and it breaks people. It turns them into the broken. And these broken are the ones that do that thing. They're the ones that take it to the next level and commit atrocities or become so good that they're a shining example for everything and still find a way to turn it bad. Like, I mean, take a paladin and make them lawful, but lawful to the extreme. Like, they obey every law to the letter of the law. I don't know that I'm getting it across very well. They obey the law to the point where they become tyrannical with it. That's the
Okay.
word I was looking for. But that's just one example of the type of people that Half Dragon Broken can become.
And are you afraid that you're gonna turn into that as well?
So far, I've managed to avoid that sort of situation. That's one of the things that number one and I were talking about recently is he was teaching me to interact with that other side of myself.
Okay.
And how's that been going?
Good so far. I've actually learned to control when I can become the dragon, the half dragon.
So it would just happen at random before?
Yes, typically when I was asleep. Like I would either wake up as an aquatic elf or I would wake up as a half dragon. And for a while, I had no idea that was happening. And it really was off putting for Vala in particular because she at first thought I was an imposter. Vala has trust issues. Love her to death. I can completely understand where her trust issues come from, but still.
When you turn into a dragonborn without any warning, I think it's kind of justified that you don't really trust that person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, also granted, they probably didn't realize it was them originally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing is Vala was having trouble believing that I was me, even when I became a dragonborn. And Kunla just kind of accepted it right off the bat. She's the turtle that wound up joining with us shortly after Quill had passed. And Kunla is a treat to be around. She's very childish. I mean, she's kind of a child for a turtle.
Yeah, okay.
So
So you're recruiting child soldiers.
I mean, the ship kind of does its own thing with that. So yes, in a way.
But hey, children need someone to lead them.
Yep.
Even if that's a ship.
I mean, we kind of follow the ship's lead, and Vala is the one in charge of that.
I think I know which realm you're from. I think we can send you back to where you came from, but I'm not sure which part of the ship you want to go to, so you'll just have to end up.
Probably the front.
I would like to go out on top of the ship instead of like under it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna spawn you underneath the ship. I'll make sure to spawn you on top of it.
At least he'll try.
I would prefer not to be kill hauled. That would not be fun.
And we'd be happy to have you back again on maybe on invitation next time.
Yeah, some warning would be nice this time around. But again, I guess it might be my fault because I did mess up the spell, I suppose. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Time for us to lead you home. But until we see you again, have a good awakening.